Good morning. Thank you for joining us on Pastor's Corner. Hope you had a blessed week. We thank God for strength. We thank God for peace. Thank God for His love, His mercy, and His grace. We're going to be going off of one scripture today, just one short scripture. We find it in the book of Amos, chapter 3. And the third verse, it's a question. It says, can two walk together except they be agreed? It's a question, but it's a rhetorical question. It's a question that's put out there saying that we understand that how can two walk together? It says, can two walk together except they agree? Now we could look at this figuratively, or we could look at it literally. Like literally, can we literally walk together unless we agree to walk together? Or figuratively, that we join forces, we go together, we take the same path or road. However we interpret that, I think it applies both ways. I think it applies literally. I think it applies figuratively. But as the question is asked, how can we, or can we? We can't. We can't walk together except we agree. We have to agree. So many times you see people that they focus on disagreements, on where we disagree, on where they disagree. And there are some people that that's all they'll do is disagree. And I say it this way. If two people conversate enough or long enough, they're going to disagree. If they go into enough situations or circumstances, there's going to be a disagreement. Also, sometimes, and I know I've explained this in the past, it's not so much a disagreement, it's a different point of view. It's a different interpretation. Like I say, looking at a piece of art. You look at a piece of art and one person sees one thing, another person sees another thing. Or whatever it might be. Looking at the mountains or life in general, that it's an interpretation of coming from your eyes, coming from my eyes. So it's not necessarily a disagreement. It's a different interpretation. It's a different perspective. And that's going to happen. That's going to happen with us. But that's part of the beauty of diversity, is different perspective, different point of views. But some people, it's a constant. They want to argue. They want to lock horns. They want to, you could use the word debate. But so many times what you hear with somebody is they have an opinion and they expect everyone else to follow their opinion. And they'll put their heels in the ground and argue and fight and exchange words. And sometimes that they will never be able to change their mind. And they'll hold on to the statement, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. Well, in most cases, everybody thinks they're right. Their opinion's right. There's very few people that will say they are wrong. Maybe once they get down the road quite a bit, they could say they were wrong. But in the current present time, it's difficult for somebody to say I'm wrong. And again, I've said this: if I sit down with somebody, they sit down, and before we even go into the conversation, excuse me, uh, if I was to ask them, can I change your mind? And they would say, no, you can't change my mind. There's nothing you could do, there's nothing you could say to change my mind. Then I would look at it like, okay, their mind is made up. And that's where I think we need to look at something and say, okay, can I give them some enlightenment? If I could use the word enlightenment, can I give them a different interpretation, different set of eyes, a different perspective? And you have to decide that. Why? Because we get stuck on disagreements as compared to agreements. Where do we agree? I always encourage people to build off where they agree instead of trying to build off where you disagree. Because if you build off where you disagree, it's always going to be hostile. It's always going to be chaotic, toxic. But working on where we agree, where two people agree. This is extremely important in marriages. A marriage has to be built on agreements. And again, no two people are going to see things 100% the same. But you have to build and work off of the agreements. Now, I want to go to a different place as I explained all that part. And we will come back to this. But I gave this some thought, and I want you to go with me here. If we're constantly disagreeing, is there any place for laughter? Can we be in disagreement and laugh? Can we disagree and have a light atmosphere and again, share laughs? I don't think so. I don't think we could build on disagreements and laughter is part of our environment. And I think so many times people, they argue, they disagree, they're always butting heads with people, and laughter is removed. Now, laughter is one of those things, like so many things in this world. It could be a blessing. It also can get in the way or be a curse in a certain way. Laughing at the wrong time, laughing at the wrong thing. Yes, out of place, out of time, just like anything. We could grab anything in this life, and out of place and out of time, it's wrong. Anything. You can grab anything and out of place, out of time. Even speaking itself. We can have something to say, but it's at the wrong time, in the wrong place, wrong situation to speak. We need to know when to not speak. Laughter is the same way. There's a time to laugh, and there's a time not to laugh. Sometimes I'll do this to somebody occasionally, or two people. They start laughing. And if you tell them, don't laugh, I let you chew on that for a second. If you tell two people laughing to not laugh, guess what's going to happen? They laugh more. And the more they try not to laugh, the more they laugh. Why do I even bring up laugh or laughter or humor? Because is laughing, humor, is that of the devil? No, laughter, laughing, and humor is a gift from God in the way I view it. Maybe you don't see it that way, but I believe laughter is part of life. I think laughter helps to keep us in a place, in a perspective of not allowing things to just overwhelm us. I've dealt with many deaths, untimely deaths, deaths that were unexpected, devastating deaths, and being around families that have lost a loved one, being in the midst at that difficult time, And so many times it's the worst time of their life, but yet in the midst of it, somebody might say something and everybody starts laughing. You go to a memorial, a celebration of life, going home, so whatever you call it, whatever you want to call it. And how many times what you'll find in that service is laughter. You'll find people laughing. And the one that is the most devastated, the one closest to the one that passed, sometimes when you see them laugh, it's not that they're laughing that they passed away. It's not laughing that it doesn't hurt. It's just laughter still part of that individual's life. It's important. And I say this, what would our loved ones that have passed away want? Would they want us to continue to have laughter? Yes, they would. But the two agreeing, that's what laughing is. Part of laughing is agreeing. And you agree on something, and it's humorous, it's funny on some things. And like they say, so many things, the reason it's humorous is because there's truth to it. I try my best to have humor in my life around me. I can be really serious, you could tell. I can be really serious, really deep. But I try and walk lightly with humor. And I'm not a big joke teller, telling stories. I'm more of a one-liner, and that's what I do. Most of my family, that's what they do. They're more one-liners, and me and my wife do a lot of that, and I know that it's important. It's important in our relationship. It's important in all my relationships. So many of my friendships, I look back on all the years of my life. It's laughter was a big part, is a big part. One of my pastor friends, his father passed away, and we went to the services. We had to drive, and we were there, and he was talking to people. Eventually, he made his way over to me. And then there was a lot of younger people there that didn't experience some of our things that we experienced. And then they're all standing around the two of us, and he tells me to tell them some of the stories, the humorous stories that they talk about, that they speak about, the humorous stories that would happen. And because I was constantly doing the little jokes or one-liners, I won't get into them now, but they weren't disrespectful. They weren't ungodly. They just humor. I recently reconnected with a whole group of my high school friends. There's a bunch of us that got together, and we started reconnecting. But right away, when we all came together, the stories just start coming out, and the things that happened. And I wasn't the big joke teller. One of my friends, Ray, was the big joke teller, and he would stand in a big circle, would get around him. He'd tell jokes, and he'd do impressions, do all these things. But I was the one-liner, and he'd catch that, and he knew I caught things. That's a big part of how we even became friends, was that we would pick these things up. One-liners is still that way for me today. People come across something humorous, they think about me. I now have a 5-year-old grandson, just turned 5, and he has that humor. He's got the one-liners. He does the imitations. Even in class now, he's in kindergarten, and he tells jokes in his class. And I know that it helps his class. Now, there can be disruption, yes, but I know that it makes the day go faster for the people in the class. But could we do that? Can we laugh with my friends, with my wife, even my 5-year-old grandson? if we're disagreeing. You don't disagree, argue, and have laughter. But why? You say, why is it important? Laughter is important. It's important in our lives. It brings us a place away from stress, away from that heaviness. There's enough stress in this world. There's enough heaviness in this world. There's enough arguing, debating, confrontations all over the place. But a smile, a laughter, a joy in our lives. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. I'm not a big laugh out loud guy. I find humor. I'll smile occasionally, I'll chuckle, but I'm not a big laugh out loud, and most of my family isn't either. But we have a lot of humor without all the laugh out louds. And there was a young lady that was in our area for a while. She moved back home to Denver, but she got close to us, and she'd be at our house, and she noticed. She says, "Jokes are just flying." She says, "Jokes are flying everywhere, but no LOL, no laughing out loud." And she thought that in itself was funny. Now what she would do was laugh out loud, and that's what'll happen. But she would just notice that the jokes are just flying, and people that come around, sometimes it's like, okay, was that a joke? And because we do it real straight, dry, and sometimes people won't realize now that they're joking, they're playing, but without the laugh, like a sitcom where you got the laughter in the background, we don't have that. But occasionally someone comes around that has that chuckle, a lot of laughing, and then of course that sets a different environment, which is good. But able to catch humor, to embrace humor, but you can't do that if you're butting heads all the time. There's a time to be serious. There's a time to be light. For myself, I try and walk lightly. I try and lead with that. When I walk into a room, to lead with that. Now, I know some people don't like humor. They don't like jokes, and I'm okay. All right, I'm not going to force it on them. But I know walking into the room with the lightness, easiness, a laughter, a smile, it brings a way more enjoyable presence than walking in with an anger. Walking in with, I'm going to argue, I'm going to put somebody in check, I'm going to tell somebody off. And there's so many people that are like that. They're just looking for an argument. They're looking for a confrontation. They're looking to lock horns with somebody. And again, I think that's why I tend to have a group of people that I'll call friends. Not because I'm mean or I'm hard, because of the lightness and easiness. But it's been this way since I was a little boy, that I could bring that, but at the same time, I'd be the one that says, okay, that's enough. That's enough. We've gone far enough. And I was that way as a little boy with my friend all the way until today. I'm still that person that'll say, okay, that's we need to pull it back. That's enough. I'm still that way. I pull the reins back. And so many times it's like, okay, take it. Okay, that's enough. But being able to build relationships and people that have been around my life a long time, they pick it up like that. They'll pick up when I say so. They'll be laughing because they know that I'm joking, I'm playing, and that's what so much was built on. Again, I moved to Arizona in high school. I didn't know one person when I started, not one person. And I just ended up with just many friends to this day. And I look and I say, okay, this young boy just comes in and new, and then meets one person, another person. And when we reconnected, me and these high school friends. One of them didn't know that. He thought I was always around. He goes, I thought you were always around. I said, no, I was new. He goes, I didn't realize that. But they all went back, some of them to kindergarten. They go back to elementary. I was the new guy. He says, well, you were just fit right in, like if you had been around. But I know a big part of it was just that easiness, the lightness, the joking. But even back then, I wasn't about arguing and getting after it with my friends. I would see other guys doing that in their group. I'm like, hey, I don't want to be in that. You guys can get at it with each other. I'm not going to get in there. And I'm still that way. You don't have to go to every argument you're invited to. In fact, I'll dismiss myself. I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue. I don't want to get after it. And the scripture that they use to do that iron sharpeneth the iron. Iron can sharpen the iron. We can sharpen each other. Doesn't mean we have to be at each other's throats. We need to be fighting. We need to be locking horns. I get it. There's a place for different opinions. But it has to be, like I said in the past, staying on topic. You have to stay on topic. You have to stay on what are we looking to address? What are we addressing here? Why are we focusing on this over here? That's nothing but a distraction. That's nothing but going to take us off where we need to be. And you have to watch that, not just in relationships. Yes, it's important, your house, your marriages, your children, your co-workers, all these different things. It's important, those relationships. But all this stuff going on in this world, you have to watch what hits your ears, what you focus on, what you listen to, what you take in. Because so much of it is a distraction. It's a smoke screen. It's thrown at us so that we don't see what's really important. So you have to choose what and filter what's coming into you, what you're listening to, what you're hearing, even this right here. Again, I'm going to be touching things that you're not going to hear and see a lot of. Because most people that are doing what I do, they're all going to be on the same topics. They're going to be talking about the election. They're going to be talking about all the world, of the things going on around and all that. You say, well, isn't that important? It has its place. But there's plenty of that talked about. Can we come back to agreeing? Can we come back to laughing? Can two walk together lest they agree? And people are going to disagree with me on this. And they have that choice. But I'm going to put it back out there. Would we rather look and say, where do we disagree? Or look at where we agree from? Think about that. Think about what I'm saying. If you disagree with me, think about what I'm giving you. Disagreeing and focusing on that, how's that going to work for us? Again, can we disagree and laugh at the same time? I don't think so. But we can agree and find laughter. As part of laughter is actually agreeing on something. And there's some truth to it. That's why it becomes humorous. It becomes funny, or you do the opposite of what it is, and that becomes humorous without breaking that down too much. I think part of a child, a young man, young woman is laughing. I think it's so important. When we were in Africa and we went, there's a big divide between people that have all of the houses and air conditioned heaters and running water and showers and hot water, those things, and then people that are living in mud huts that don't even have an outhouse. They don't even have an outhouse. They're way separated from society, these big gaps. But when we would be around them, the one thing I would do is I'd watch. And so many times I couldn't understand them because they speak multiple languages there. Most of them all know English, but they speak a lot of different languages. But I'd watch them interact, especially those out in the villages, out in the mountains that you have to drive a jeep to get to them, and they're separated from society. And I'd watch them conversate, I'd watch them interact, and you'd see these smiles, and you'd see them laughing. And I'd watch the children, they were in school, you'd see them, and I'd watch them. And they would lack so many of our luxuries and comforts. So much of our life, what we live, they don't have. They don't have all the access to comfort and luxury that we have. But I'd watch them and they'd have a smile on their face and they'd be laughing. In fact, in many ways I would think, are they happier than we are? Do they laugh and smile more than we do? And I thought about that, I think about that, and I might say they do. And I look and say, wait a second, they're the ones that don't have all the things we do. They lack the comfort and luxuries we do. What I say, we, us here in the United States, all these luxuries and comfort, but yet, how many people have beautiful homes, beautiful automobiles, and nice clothes, and vacations, and all these things, but no smile, no laughter, no agreement, just disagreement, just chaos, just toxicity. We don't want that. I'm all for the comfort and luxuries, as long as that comfort and luxuries doesn't get in our way and rob us and take us off focus, take us off where we need to be, the path we need to be. Can two walk together lest they agree? Rhetorical question. The answer is no. The only way, I should say yes. I said that backwards. Can two walk together lest they agree? Yes, they need to agree. What I mean, no, they can't walk together if they don't agree. They can't walk together lest they agree. We have to focus on agreeing, holding on to agreements. Want to find something to argue about? We can find it. I have to tell myself what's important in my heart, in my life, my mind. What's important in your heart, your mind, your life. Agreement, laughter. And I'm not saying to the word that we don't agree with the word. We have to find where we agree with the word. Because if we get long enough on this, we're going to disagree. But let's look where we agree. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning. If you'd like to bless us financially, there's some ways on the screen there. I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help us out. If you think this brought something to you and you'd like other people to view it, you could share it, you can like, you can, again, subscribe. The more people that engage, that means more people find it. That's the way it works. It's an algorithm in the YouTube system. The more people that view it, the more it'll pop up on random people's screens. And that's what we want. But the only way that happens is you. You're the one that makes that happen, not me. I don't make that happen. It's all of you. What do I mean? You have the ability to spread this by just hitting subscribe, like, comment. It builds an algorithm. We will be back here in person, 1363 South Vineyard in Mesa, Arizona, 85210, noon, 12 o'clock Arizona time. Thank you and have a blessed Sunday.